Link's Awakening is one of the most unique Zelda games, entirely detached from the main events of the series, telling the story of a hero shipwrecked on a strange island, an island hiding a deep secret. The game has one of my favourite stories in the series, melancholic and bittersweet. While Link's Awakening's ending is one of the most powerful in the series, it's definitely also one of the most cryptic. So today let's talk through the ending of Link's adventure on Caufield. Exactly what the island was, what happened and why. It goes without saying that this video will contain full spoilers for the story of Link's Awakening, so if you haven't beaten the game yet, drop a few more hours into it and come back to this video after you've woken the windfish. So without further ado, let's look deeper into the story of Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening is the second game on the Downfall timeline. In case you're unfamiliar with the Zelda timeline, it's split into 3 parts after the events of Ocarina of Time. With Link's Awakening, we're looking at this branch of the timeline, which is a series of games detailing Hyrule's history in an alternate reality where the hero of time, the Link from Ocarina of Time, lost to Ganondorf during the final battle, who was then able to access the full might of the Triforce. The King of Evil was sealed in the Sacred Realm, a divine dimension in which the Triforce normally resides, as a last resort in order to prevent the destruction of Hyrule. Ages later, Ganon sets in motion his schemes to escape the Sacred Realm in which he was sealed, which has now been corrupted by his influence into the horrifying Dark World, a cursed reflection of Hyrule. But unbeknownst to Ganon, a new hero had been born in Hyrule, a reincarnation of the hero of time who had failed to defeat him years earlier. During Hyrule's darkest hour, when the land was on the brink of destruction at the hands of the Demon King, this hero rose from the ashes to defend it. A boy dressed in green wielding the sacred Master Sword, who broke the stranglehold of the Dark Wizard and used the Triforce to undo his evil. The story of these events are told during A Link to the Past, the first game in the Downfall timeline released on the Super Nintendo in 1991. But the second game in the Downfall timeline, according to the most recent timeline in Zelda Encyclopedia, is Link's Awakening, the second adventure of this very same hero who saved Hyrule during A Link to the Past. After his adventures in Hyrule, Link sets sail for new lands, exploring foreign countries and oceans. But upon his return to Hyrule, the calm waters of the sea began to churn and twist, clear blue quickly staining an inky black, as the skies above grew cloudy and violent. A freak storm surrounded the hero and his sailboat, and despite the powerful adventurer's strength and experience, lashing himself to the mast, the heavens were torn asunder by a flash of lightning. And then there was nothing. Link woke with a start, the terrors at sea seeming like a nightmare. He was in a snug cottage, a single room decorated with family photographs, 2 beds and little else. This home belonged to Taran, a kind father, and Marin, a gentle, musical girl. Marin explains that she'd found you, unconscious amongst the wreckage of your sailboat, washed up on the southern beach of the island. The entirety of Link's Awakening, aside from the opening and ending cutscenes, takes place here on Caufield Island, a mysterious country defined by its unique mountain range, atop the tallest peak of which sits a giant egg. The island is populated by a number of unique characters, animals and monsters. The idyllic Mabe village and the quirky animal village are home to a cast of friendly faces. But despite the paradisal appearance of Caufield, there's a bleak truth. Link isn't able to leave. As far as anyone on the island knows, beyond the crystal blue waters which surround the island's shores, there lies nothing. Just endless, empty oceans which are impossible to cross. Link, after his shipwreck, is apparently trapped on Caufield forever. However, an owl, a mysterious figure who appears frequently to offer advice and directions, gives a cryptic solution to the puzzle of Caufield Island. By waking the Windfish, a deity who sleeps within the egg atop the tallest mountain, Link will be able to leave the island. and in order to wake the windfish, he must find the instruments of the Sirens, located deep within dungeons across the island and guarded by beings known as nightmares, which are the source of all the monsters which infect Koholint: Moldorm, Genie, Slime Eye, the Anglerfish, Slime Eel, Facade, Evil Eagle, and Hothead. These nightmares recognize Link as an outsider to the island, and understand that he intends to wake the windfish, and hide the instruments behind monster-infested labyrinths to prevent him doing so. For the most part it's left unsaid, but the isolated nature of Koholint Island bothers Marin especially, who sits on the shores of Toronbo Beach, staring out at the endless blue ocean. She says that her father tells her there's nothing past the sea, just more waters, but she believes otherwise. If she were a seagull, she says, she'd fly as far away as she could, to distant places to sing songs for new people in new lands. If she brings her wish to the windfish, maybe her dream will come true. But for now, both Marin and Link are trapped on the island, cut off from the rest of the world. But there's a darker truth than this to Koholint Island. Not only can Link not leave until the windfish is awakened, but the island itself isn't what it appears to be. After Link finds the fifth instrument, the Wind Marimba, Link is directed by the owl to the Southern Face Shrine, ancient ruins hidden in the east of the island. Within the shrine, Link finds a crumbling stone tablet which reveals the dark secret of Koholint. To the Finder, the Isle of Koholint is but an illusion. Human, monster, sea, sky, are seen on the lid of a sleeper's eye. Awake the dreamer, and Koholint will vanish much like a bubble on a needle. Castaway, you should know the truth. The truth of Koholint Island is that it, and everything on it, is not real. The entirety of the game, ever since Link's ship was struck by lightning, has taken place within a dream. Marbe Village, Taran, Marin, the children, the dungeons through which he's fought, all obliviously part of an illusion which will shatter as soon as the windfish awakens. Link is now faced with a dilemma. Should he continue on his journey to wake the windfish, allowing himself to escape, but cause the island and all of its inhabitants to vanish? Link chooses to continue on his quest to find the instruments, trusting his feelings, venturing to the Face Shrine, where Facade repeats the truth of the island to Link, and finally to the Tal Tal mountain range in the north of the island, for the two final dungeons, Eagle's Tower and Turtle Rock. Before his adventure on the island comes to a close, Link can speak to Marin, who'll tell him that once she made a wish to the windfish, but that it's a secret. She says she knows that one day Link will leave the island, but forbids him to forget her. The Ballad of the Windfish, and the girl who sang it, should remain in his heart forever. With all instruments recovered from the dungeons, Link climbed the tallest peak on the island, to the egg in the clouds. He gathered the full moon cello, conch horn, sea lily's bell, surf harp, wind marimba, choral triangle, organ of evening calm and thunder drum, and began to play the Ballad of the Windfish, which cracked the egg open, allowing him to enter. Within the egg, the dreamlike nature of Koholint Island was especially apparent. Hazy colours and lights decorated the interior. And in the centre, the shadow nightmares lurk, the true villain behind the imprisonment of the windfish and the monster infestation of Koholint Island. The nightmares were parasites, living and feeding off of the windfish, forcing him to remain in a perpetual slumber. Koholint was his dream, a dream which they poisoned and imprisoned him within. The nightmares were slowly polluting the dream, their aim being to force the windfish into a sleep without end, withering his soul and allowing them to live off and rule Koholint Island. The people of Koholint would have suffered a fate worse than death, an eternity trapped in a nightmare, plagued with monsters and ruled by shadows, but the hero prevailed, slaying the multiple dark forms and purging the dream of their influence. With the nightmares eradicated, Link climbed ethereal steps into the stars, and was met with a familiar face, the owl who'd served as a guide throughout Link's adventure. The owl explains that it's a part of the windfish's spirit, a guardian of his dreams. One day, the nightmares invaded the dream, wreaking havoc, forcing this part of the windfish's subconscious to guide Link into waking it up. With the owl's task completed, Link finally came face to face with the windfish itself, a majestic deity of the skies.
I am the windfish. Long has been my slumber. In my dreams, an egg appeared. It was surrounded by an island with people, animals, an entire world. But verily, it be the nature of dreams to end. When I dost awaken, Caufield will be gone. Only the memory of this dreamland will exist in the waking world. Someday, thou might recall this island. That memory makes the dream world real. Come, Link. Let us awaken together.
Standing among the stars, Link gathered the instruments of the sirens and started to play the Ballad of the Windfish for the last time. The melancholic notes began to pull the deity from the depths of its slumber, and Caufield Island started to fade into nothingness. The peaceful Mabe village, full of bright, jovial characters, animals living in harmony beside the sea. Children still playing in the sunlight, oblivious to their fate. The sandy shores of Toronto Beach, where Link had washed up unconscious and alone, where Link and Marin had sat and stared into the sea. Tran, a caring and protective father, foraging for mushrooms in the forest near his home. And even Marin, Link's closest friend, a girl with dreams reaching far across the endless oceans, a girl who had fallen in love with the hero from another world. The entirety of Caufield Island, its people, friendships, families, relationships, ceased to exist, vanishing into the sea air. Link, the outsider from across the sea, was forced to end it, like all dreams inevitably must. With a final burst of water, Link woke from the dream. Seagulls circled in the open skies above, surrounding Link, who floated among the wreckage of his sailboat. Despite having experienced an entire adventure on the island of Caufield, little time appeared to have passed. He was still at sea, floating on the mast to which he tied himself during the storm. Link stared down at the water, thinking on the events just past. Had Caufield really all just been a dream, while he had been knocked unconscious by the storm? Was everything on the island, Marin, the nightmares, all just his imagination? Suddenly, the skies above darkened, the sun obscured not by a cloud, but by a gigantic whale, the windfish. A beautiful creature, free of its constraints at the hands of the nightmares, no longer trapped within its own dream. The fish was a god of the wind. Perhaps it was able to manipulate the skies around it to conjure a storm, somehow pulling Link into its dream, desperately finding a hero to rescue it from its imprisonment. Caufield was an entire world within the mind of a deity, a god of the skies. And once the windfish awoke, the island vanished, but the memory of the land and its people lived on with the hero. But there's one more part to the story. At the very end of the game, after the credits, if the player has played a perfect game without any deaths, there's a secret ending. Marin, singing the Ballad of the Windfish, cuts through the silence, before we see a dreamlike image of her smiling in the sky. And directly afterwards, as her song fades, a seagull flies into the distance. On the beach, Marin wished that she were a seagull, so she could fly to distant lands and sing for their people. and before the end of Koholint Island, she brought her wish to the Windfish, a wish that the powerful deity granted. While Koholint lives on only in memory, Maren got her wish, able to freely travel the seas, to visit new shores and sing. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like or subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. I'll be putting out more Link's Awakening content in this week. Let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular you want to see. I'm thinking of doing a full Let's Play of Link's Awakening over on Zeltic Plays, my gameplay channel, so be sure to check that out. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.